These are the games that sold incredibly well, so much so that they are among some of the best-selling video games of all time. Welcome to another top 10 video, and today we are going to take a look at the top 10 best-selling video games of all time for the PlayStation 2. Now before we begin, just bear in mind that I am a human being, therefore there is a slight chance that my list could be inaccurate. If that is the case, be so kind as to let me know in the comments down below. However, I did my best to make sure that the data and research that I've collected was as accurate and credible as possible. With that said, let's begin the video. Here are the top 10 best-selling video games of all time for the PlayStation 2. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is an action role-playing video game that was released in 2002. It was the first game in the Kingdom Hearts series and is the result of a collaboration between Square, the developers and publishers of the game, and the Walt Disney Company. Influenced by its parent franchise Final Fantasy, the game combines settings and characters from Disney animated features like Goofy and Donald Duck with those from the Final Fantasy series. Kingdom Hearts was praised for its combination of action and role-playing and went on to do extremely well. The game was critically acclaimed, receiving numerous year-end awards and prompted many sequels throughout the years. To date, the Kingdom Hearts series has shipped over 30 million copies worldwide, but none of that would have been possible had it not been for the game that started it all. At number 10 we have Kingdom Hearts, the 10th best-selling video game of all time for the PlayStation 2 with a total of over 4.7 million copies sold worldwide. Next up on our list is Tekken 5. Developed and published by Namco in 2005 for the PlayStation 2, Tekken 5 was the 5th installment in the Tekken series.
No shit, Sherlock.
The previous entry, Tekken 4, introduced several gameplay changes such as uneven stage terrain and numerous other features. However, they were removed from Tekken 5 in favor of faster gameplay. With that said, the 5th installment did not shy away from introducing several new elements of its own. It was the first game in the series that featured the ability to customize characters with clothing, accessories, and numerous other aesthetic items. The game featured a total of 32 playable characters and incorporated a faster, more fluid fighting system than previous iterations in the series. Overall, the game was met with positive reviews and was even ranked as the 6th best PlayStation 2 game of all time by Complex. A fan favorite amongst many, Tekken 5 was a commercial success and went on to sell over 6 million copies worldwide, placing it at number 9 on our list. At number 8 we have Final Fantasy XII, a fantasy role-playing video game developed and published by Square Enix. Released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, Final Fantasy XII introduced several new elements to the series, an open world and a seamless battle system amongst others. The game takes place in the fictional land of Ivalice and follows the street urchin Vaan, who becomes embroiled in a quest to save the occupied kingdom of his homeland Dalmasca from a war that seems imminent. Final Fantasy XII received critical acclaim and earned numerous Game of the Year awards. On top of that, it was the first Final Fantasy and only PlayStation 2 game to receive a perfect score from Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu. It sold 2.4 million copies in Japan, 1.7 million in the US and 1.1 million in Europe. It is the 8th best-selling video game for the PlayStation 2, selling a total of 6 million copies worldwide.
We have a responsibility to the coming generations.
What responsibility?
To keep track of the mistakes we've made as a species.
We need to remember, to spread the word, and that's what keeps me alive.
Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty is the 4th Metal Gear game that was written and directed by Hideo Kojima and the 7th overall game in the series. Published and developed by KONAMI, the game served as a direct sequel to the original Metal Gear Solid. The game is classified as an action-adventure stealth game and revolves around the Big Shell, a massive offshore cleanup facility seized by a group of terrorists who call themselves the Sons of Liberty. They demand an enormous ransom in exchange for the life of the President of the United States, and threaten to destroy the facility and create a cataclysmic environmental disaster if their demands are not met. The game was a success and received praise for its visuals, gameplay, level of realism, and is often considered to be a leading example of artistic expression in video games. Just like all the other games on this list, Metal Gear Solid 2 is also considered to be one of the greatest games ever made, and rightfully so. It sold a total of 7 million copies worldwide, making it the 7th best-selling video game for the PS2. Should have seen this one coming. The Grand Theft Auto series is quite possibly one of the most popular and successful video game franchises on the planet. Originally created by David Jones and Mike Daly, with the later titles of which were created by Leslie Benzies, Aaron Garbut, and brother Sam and Down Hauser, the series has achieved great success over the recent years. It shipped more than 280 million units worldwide and is currently the 4th highest selling video game franchise of all time. Consider that a spoiler for the rest of this list. Grand Theft Auto 3, for those who do not know, is an action-adventure video game that was published by Rockstar Games and developed by DMA Design, now known as Rockstar North. It is the 5th installment and the first 3D game in the Grand Theft Auto series. Set in Liberty City, a fictional place based on New York, the game follows the story of Claude, a criminal that was left for dead who finds himself entangled in a world of gangs, corruption and crime. The game was released in October 2001 and featured an open world that can be explored freely via foot or vehicle. Considered as one of the most significant titles of the 6th generation of video games, Grand Theft Auto 3 went on to do exceptionally well, becoming the best-selling video game of 2001. It sits at number 6 on our list with a total of 8 million copies sold worldwide.
This is your story.
We are finally into the final 5, and the first game to make it to the top 5 is yet another Final Fantasy game. This time it's Final Fantasy X. Also developed and published by Square, the game was released in 2001 and was one of the first in the series to feature voice acting. Final Fantasy X is set in the fantasy world of Spyra, a setting influenced by the South Pacific, Thailand and Japan, and the story revolves around a group of adventurers and their quest to defeat a rampaging monster known as Sin. The game was received extremely well and was especially popular in Japan, selling a total of 2.3 million copies in that country alone. In total, Final Fantasy X sold just over 8 million copies worldwide, placing it at number 5 on our list.
Hey lady, you know what I'm gonna do? Something like this.
Vice City is 24 karat gold these days. We send someone down and cut ourselves a nice slice.
Tommy, buenas noches.
You are not in Liberty now. Here, we do things differently. We need to watch each other's back.
You work for me now.
The deal was an ambush. We were set up.
That was my money, Tommy!
Why'd you get in this business, you prick? For the pussy, that's why.
Yes! One day, I'm gonna save your ass, and you're probably gonna wanna kiss me.
Grand Theft Auto Vice City was released on October 29, 2002 for the PlayStation 2. Players control Tommy Vercetti, and just like previous iterations, the open world can be explored freely via foot or vehicle. The game was heavily influenced by films like Scarface and shows like Miami Vice, and as a result was set in a fictional version of Miami called Vice City. The game was particularly praised for its open world design, which consisted of 2 islands. The gameplay as well as its music was also given a lot of praise. However, as with most Grand Theft Auto games, Vice City didn't release without some controversy. Criticism was directed at its depiction of violence, racial groups, and even sparked a couple of lawsuits. However, that didn't stop it from becoming one of the best-selling games. Grand Theft Auto Vice City sold just over a total of 9.6 million copies worldwide, making it the 4th best-selling video game for the PlayStation 2. Originally planned for a 2003 release, Gran Turismo 4 was delayed for nearly a year and a half before being released in December 2004 for Japan and early in 2005 for Europe and North America. GT4 was the 6th overall racing video game in the series. Developed by Polyphony Digital and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, the game featured over 700 cars from a total of 80 manufacturers. It was received mostly positive, however the game was criticized for its continued lack of render damage, the ability to take unrealistic shortcuts, and some people even expressed disappointment in the game's AI system. However, the good far outweighed the bad, and Gran Turismo 4 went on to become one of the highest selling video games of 2005. It sold a total of 3.4 million copies in North America, 6.8 million copies in Europe, and just over a million copies in Japan. It sits at number 3 on our list with a total of 11.7 million copies sold worldwide.
Looking at the world through silver clouds.
racing into second place on our list is Gran Turismo 3 A Spec. Released in 2001, the game received mostly positive reviews, with a big part of them running just short of perfect scores. It is the second highest rated racing video game of all time, thanks to its aggregate score of 94.54% on GameRankings. The game is also currently part of PlayStation 2's greatest hits, and rightfully so. It sold a total of 14.8 million copies worldwide for the PS2. That's almost 5 times the sales of Kingdom Hearts. A well-deserved second place goes to yet another Gran Turismo, this time being Gran Turismo 3 A Spec. And now for the best-selling video game of all time for the PlayStation 2, a classic, a game that was probably part of nearly every child's childhood that were from the 2000s. One that I believe got a lot of people into video games in the first place. I'm talking about SingStar. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. GTA San Andreas is possibly the greatest game I've ever played on the PlayStation 2, and I'm sure a lot of people can say the same. Released on October 26, 2004, the game quickly took the world by storm, and by March 2005, merely 5 months after its release, it had already sold a total of 12 million units for the console alone. The sales and accomplishments didn't stop there. The game was met with positive reviews, so much so that it tied spots with another video game as being the 5th highest ranked game in PlayStation 2 history. Listed as the most successful PlayStation 2 game of all time in the Guinness World Records 2009 Gamers Edition, GTA San Andreas had sold a total of 27.5 million copies worldwide in all formats by 2011. Of that 27.5 million copies sold, 17.33 million came from PlayStation 2 sales, making it the highest selling video game of all time for the console, even though the game already achieved this all the way back in 2005. Simply amazing. This has been the top 10 best-selling video games for the PlayStation 2, a classic set of games all deserving of their accolades and accomplishments, but also a great reminder of the remarkable games we had the pleasure of playing not too long ago. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to let me know in the comments down below which game from the PS2 era was your favorite. Until next time, goodbye.